Arrow TV series. This video compresses information gathered from Wikipedia in video format. Studies prove that reading while listening improves comprehension, increases speed as well as expands vocabulary and enhances fluency. Video sections. Abstract. Plot. Production. Release. Reception. Other media. Arrowverse. External links. Give your feedback on the comments section. Support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. Thanks. Abstract. Arrow is an American superhero television series developed by Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Andrew Kreisberg based on the DC Comics character Green Arrow, a costumed crime fighter created by Mort Weisinger and George Papp, and is set in the Arrowverse with other related television series. The series premiered in the United States on the CW on October 10, 2012, and was primarily filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. In January 2019, the CW renewed the series for a 10-episode 8th season, announcing in March that it would be the final season. The season premiered on October 15, 2019 and featured the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. The series finale aired on January 28, 2020. Arrow follows billionaire playboy Oliver Queen, Stephen Amell, who claimed to have spent 5 years shipwrecked on Lian Yu, a mysterious island in the North China Sea, before returning home to Starling City, later renamed Star City, to fight crime and corruption as a secret vigilante whose weapon of choice is a bow and arrow. Throughout the series, Oliver is joined by others, among them former soldier John Diggle, David Ramsey, IT expert and skilled hacker Felicity Smoke, Emily Beth Rickards, former assassin Sarah Lance, Katie Lotz, aspiring vigilante Roy Harper, Colton Haynes, Oliver's sister Thea, Willa Holland, an attorney-turned-vigilante Laurel Lance, Katie Cassidy. During the first 5 seasons of the show, characters from Oliver's past appear in a separate story arc based on Oliver's flashbacks. Starting with Season 7, a series of flash-forwards focus on Oliver's children William and MIA, exploring how present events would affect their future and Green Arrow's legacy. The series takes a new look at the Green Arrow character, as well as other characters from the DC Comics universe. Although Oliver Queen, Green Arrow had been featured in the television series Smallville from 2006 to 2011, on the CW, the producers decided to start clean and find a new actor to portray the character. Arrow has received generally positive reviews from critics. The series has received several awards and multiple nominations. In October 2014, a spin-off TV series titled The Flash premiered. This was the first extension of the shared Arrowverse universe. The Flash was later followed in 2015 with Vixen and Supergirl, in 2016 with Legends of Tomorrow, in 2017 with Freedom Fighters, The Ray, and in 2019 with Batwoman, which are all part of the same shared universe. Plot. The series follows billionaire playboy Oliver Queen, who claimed to have spent 5 years shipwrecked on a mysterious island, before returning home to Starling City. In Season 1, Oliver returns to Starling City and is reunited with his family and friends, including Tommy Merlin and Laura Lance. By night, he acts as a vigilante, known as the Hood, hunting down those listed in his father's notebook, with assistance from John Diggle and Felicity Smoke. A conspiracy known as the Undertaking, led by Malcolm Merlyn, threatens the city. The season also features flashbacks to Oliver's first year on the island, and his struggle to survive, alongside both new allies, including Slade Wilson, and foes. In Season 2, following the death of Tommy Merlin, Oliver vows to no longer kill, operating under new alias The Arrow. This is tested when the city comes under attack from Slade. He also struggles to balance his vigilante activities alongside his role as CEO of Queen Consolidated. The season sees the return of Sarah Lance, now also known as the Canary, as well as the introduction of government agency ARGUS and its leader Amanda Waller. The flashbacks see Oliver face a new threat on Lian Yu, as well as revealing the origins of his feud with Slade. In Season 3, following Sarah's murder and the loss of his family's company to Ray Palmer, Oliver refuses to believe he can lead a normal life whilst continuing as the Arrow. He becomes embroiled in a conflict with Ra's al Ghul. In order to protect his sister Thea, Felicity becomes vice president of the now renamed Palmer Technologies, and Laurel sets out to follow in Sarah's footsteps, assuming the mantle of Black Canary. The season's flashbacks see Oliver escape Lian Yu, only to be forced to work with Waller in Hong Kong, attempting to stop the release of a lethal pathogen. In Season 4, Oliver and Felicity are living in Ivy Town, but return to the renamed Star City to fight terrorist group HIV, led by Damien Dark. Oliver adopts the moniker Green Arrow, whilst also running for mayor. The discovery of the existence of his son William, and his decision to conceal the truth, leads to the breakup of his relationship with Felicity. Laurel is killed by Dark, and Oliver discovers his plan to detonate nuclear weapons. The season's flashbacks see Oliver return to Lian Yu by Waller, where he attempts to infiltrate criminal group Shadow Spire. In Season 5, Oliver and Felicity recruit a new team of vigilantes to aid their mission, including former police detective Dinah Drake. As the new Black Canary, Oliver struggles to adjust to his breakup with Felicity, alongside trying to balance his new role as mayor with the threat posed by the deadly Prometheus. The season also sees the introduction of an antagonistic version of Laurel Lance, known as Black Siren, a doppelganger from Earth-2, who made her debut during the second season of The Flash. In the season's flashbacks, Oliver travels to Russia where he joins the Bratva, and is trained by Talia al Ghul, before returning to Lian Yu. In Season 6, Oliver attempts to balance his vigilantism alongside his role as mayor, whilst also being a father to William. Following the death of the boy's mother, he rekindles his relationship with Felicity, with the pair marrying in the season's Arrowverse crossover. A new threat in the form of terrorist hacker Caden James and his criminal gang emerges when Ricardo Diaz kills James, and with Team Arrow facing a bitter split, Oliver is forced to enlist the aid of the FBI, striking a deal that leads to his incarceration in federal prison. In Season 7, Felicity seeks new allies to help catch Diaz and release Oliver from prison. Following his defeat of Diaz and prison release, Oliver and his team are deputized by the SCPD. His half-sister, Emiko Queen, emerges as the new Green Arrow. However, it is later revealed she is the leader of terrorist group the Ninth Circle. The season features flash-forwards to 20 years into the future, with the now adult William receiving a mysterious message, joining with Oliver's former allies. He discovers his sister, Oliver, and Felicity's daughter MIA, and works to save the city from another attack. In the 8th and final season, the Monitor recruits Oliver to aid him in his mission to prevent the coming crisis. William, Conchaba Hawk, and MIA mysteriously time travel from 2040 to the present-day Star City. During the crisis, Oliver sacrifices himself and becomes the Spectre in order to stop the Anti-Monitor. Following their final battle, a new universe is born at the cost of Oliver's life. However, he is reunited with Felicity in a paradise dimension. In the final scene of the series production, the idea for a Green Arrow TV series was first discussed during the 6th season of Smallville, with talk of spinning off Justin Hartley's portrayal of the character into his own series. Hartley, however, refused to entertain the idea, feeling it was his duty to respect what Smallville had accomplished in 5 seasons, and not steal the spotlight because there was talk of a spin-off after his 2 appearances. According to Hartley, talking was as far as the spin-off idea ever got. A spin-off series in which Oliver led the Justice League made it into early development. The series was to have been helmed by Stephen S. DeKnight, who would later go on to be the showrunner for the first season of Marvel's Daredevil. In January 2012, following Smallville's conclusion, the CW prepared a new series centered around the character Green Arrow. Andrew Kreisberg, Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim were announced to be developing the series. A week later, the series was ordered to pilot with David Nutt assigned to direct. Nutter also directed the pilot for Smallville, the aforementioned series following Clark Kent on his journey to become Superman. When developing the series, producer Mark Guggenheim expressed that the creative team wanted to chart own course, own destiny, and avoid any direct connections to Smallville. Thus, rather than continuing on with Hartley's incarnation of the character, they opted to cast a new actor in the role and establish the series as its own separate continuity. At the end of the same month, Stephen Amell was cast in the titular role of Oliver Queen. The series does not initially feature superpowered heroes and villains. This decision was, in part, based on the executives' desire to take a realistic look at the characters in this universe. Production on the pilot began in March 2012 in Vancouver, which would continue to act as the primary filming location for the series. The series' skyline shots use a combination of footage from Frankfurt, Germany, Center City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Maryland, Back Bay, Boston, and Tokyo, Japan. The series was given a full season pickup on October 22, 2012. Stephen Amell on the use of flashbacks storytelling. For the first 5 seasons, Arrow features 2 storylines, one in the present, and the other, shown in flashback, during Oliver's time on the island 5 years before his rescue. These flashbacks are used to illustrate how Oliver transformed into the man that returns to Starling City. Filming for the island flashbacks takes place in Vancouver's White Cliff Park area, near beachfront homes. Much planning is required to keep the buildings out of camera frame. Guggenheim said, "Stephen has to wear a wig, and his look has to be changed. There's a lot. It's actually incredibly ambitious to do these flashbacks every week, every single episode, because like Andrew said, it's almost like it's its own show." Regarding the flashbacks after the 5th season, Guggenheim and Miracle stated that the series would explore flashbacks from other characters' perspectives, such as Curtis Holt, along with the possibility of flash-forwards. Guggenheim said, "We still want to make part of our storytelling, because we do like the Monsieur. We like when those non-island flashbacks sort of illuminate what's going on in the present day. That'll always be a part of the show and a part of the show's storytelling structure. It just won't be telling a serialized story." The series develops relationship triangles. Some love triangles, others designed to catch characters in philosophical debates. Kreisberg provides one such example. Every week, Oliver will be facing a bad guy. But the truth is, his real nemesis is Detective Lance, who's trying to bring him into justice. His daughter is going to be caught in the middle, because she loves and respects her father, and she's always believed in what he believed. But at the same time, she's going to see this dark urban legend out there that's actually doing a lot of good. The kind of good that she wants to be doing in her role as a legal aid attorney. Learning from previous experiences working in television, the producers worked early on identifying the major story arcs for the series, specifically the first season, including mapping out how to accomplish the Monsieur, taking inspiration from Christopher Nolan's Batman film series. The creative team decided to put it all out there, and not hold back from episode to episode. The team strives to include various DC Comics characters and aspects of the DC universe. Guggenheim cited Big Belly Burger, a restaurant franchise introduced in the Superman comics, which appears in Arrow's 3rd episode and onward. Kreisberg said, "There are so many characters in the DC universe who haven't gotten their due in TV and film this year. We're so excited to reach into roster and take some of these lesser-known characters that are beloved by fans, and do our spin on the characters." Ahead of the 100th episode, Guggenheim talked about the commitment to quality the series strives for, stating, "We never skimped on the writing, the production or in the post-process going. This is going to be one of those stinkers. We might as well cut our losses and move on. We worked as hard as we possibly can on the script. If episodes have come in bad, we reshoot. Even in season 5, we have no problems with doing reshoots, or pickups, or anything we need to do to make each episode as successful as it can possibly be." He also noted, his biggest regret in the series was, "I wish we had allowed the Oliver Felicity storyline in season 4 to unfold at a more natural pace. We had set these tentpoles at the beginning of the season, and we were a bit too rigorous on how we hit them this year. That was a case where the planning overtook the storytelling. We didn't do things as naturally and as elegantly as we should have." On April 2, 2018, the CW renewed the series for a 7th season, which premiered on October 15, 2018. On January 31, 2019, the CW renewed the series for an 8th season. On March 6, 2019, it was announced that its season would be the final season of the series, with an abbreviated 10-episode run. Stephen Amell had approached Greg Berlanti towards the end of the 6th season about move on, following the expiration of his contract at the end of the 7th season. Amell had hoped that the show could go on without him, but Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim and Beth Schwartz decided to conclude the series with a shortened 8th season, which Amell agreed to. The 8th season premiered on October 15, 2019. Arrow executive producers Berlanti, Guggenheim and Schwartz stated, "This was a difficult decision to come to, but like every hard decision we've made for the past 7 years, it was with the best interests of Arrow in mind. We're heartened by the fact that Arrow has birthed an entire universe of shows that will continue on for many years to come. We're excited about crafting a conclusion that honors the show, its characters and its legacy, and are grateful to all the writers, producers, actors, and more importantly the incredible crew that has sustained us and the show for over 7 years." The realistic approach to the series included the costume design for Oliver's vigilante persona, created by Colleen Atwood. According to Amell, it was important for the suit to be functional, and the best way that he knew for that was if he could put the costume on by himself. "If I can put it on by myself, I think that people will buy it. And that was our idea. That's our world." In the second half of season 2, Oliver replaces his paint mask with a domino mask, similar to one worn by the character in the comics. The change is addressed on screen, with Kreisberg saying, "He doesn't just put on a mask. It's actually a big plot point in an episode. And there really is a story behind not only the need for the mask but also who provides him with it." On adding the mask now, Kreisberg stated that, conceptually, it was something we wanted to do because Oliver himself is evolving as the Arrow from vigilante to hero, sort of from Arrow to Green Arrow, and we wanted to see that progression in his costume as well, as Oliver is embracing being a hero. Being a hero means stepping out of the dark and being more of a symbol. So he has to take steps to conceal his identity more. He added that it will allow the Arrow to interact with people who don't know his identity in a much more organic way than having him constantly keep his hair down. Costume designer Maya Manny put together roughly 50 mask options for the producers. Kreisberg said, "What's so wonderful about the design that Maya came up with is that it really is very simple, and it feels as if it's been part of his costume since the beginning. Once we finally had this mask and put it on Steven, even Steven was like, 'This is the right one.'" In the episode 3 Ghosts, Oliver receives the mask from Barry Allen, who is able to create a mask that will help conceal his identity, while still being functional and allowing Oliver to see clearly. To compose the score for Arrow, executive producer Greg Berlanti invited Blake Neely, with whom he had first worked on Everwood. Neely created a score that combined electronic and orchestral cues, varying between action themes and romantic ones. Berlanti told Neely the series would be dark, and the music should be as well. After reading the pilot's script, Neely went away to start composing on his own. According to Neely, of course, Oliver has his main theme but also sub-themes for the many layers of his character. He and Laurel have a love theme. Mom had a theme for the undertaking. The bad guys all have themes, which makes it sad for me when one of them dies. So I try not to become attached to bad guy themes. Diggle has a theme. Even the island itself has a theme. A soundtrack for Season 1 was released on September 17, 2013 by Watertower Music. Two versions of a soundtrack for Season 2 were released on September 16, 2014 by Watertower Music and La La Land Records. The compact disc release includes 2 exclusive tracks not available on the digital release. On December 18, 2014, Watertower Music and Lila Records released a selection of music from the Flash, Arrow crossover episodes, as well as 2 bonus tracks from their respective 2014 mid-season finales. The Season 3 soundtrack was released in December 2015, consisting of 2 discs for the first time. Previous albums consisted of 1 CD release. Arrow premiered on the CW network from October 10, 2012, during the 201,213 television season. In Canada, the show is broadcast simultaneously on the same day as the United States. The show premiered outside North America throughout the United Kingdom and Ireland on October 22, 2012. In Australia, the series premiered on May 1, 2013, on the 9 network, before moving to Foxtel for Season 4. Each season release contains additional features, which include making of featurettes, episode commentaries, deleted scenes, gag reels, comic con panels, and highlights from the Paley Fest, starting with Season 4 and continuing through each subsequent season. The box sets included the crossover episodes from other connected series, as well as commentary on those episodes. Reception. Season 1 received favorable reviews, with a Metacritic score of 73 out of 100, based on reviews from 25 critics, making it the highest-rated CW show in 5 years. Review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes calculated an approval rating of 85%, based on 36 reviews, with an average rating of 7.47/10. The site's consensus reads, "The CW nails the target with Arrow, a comic book-inspired series that benefits from cinematic action sequences, strong plotting, and intriguing characters." Mary McNamara of the Los Angeles Times called the series an interesting setup with a quality look, describing Amell as a poster boy, no doubt literally, for the Katniss Everdeen set. Brian Lowry at Variety described the series as a handsome but stiff surrogate for Batman that could benefit from sharper execution. In reviewing the final episode of Season 1, Alistair Wilkins of the AV Club gave the season as a whole a rating of B+, noting that the show hasn't quite figured everything out yet, but it had some standout episodes. Season 2 received acclaim from critics for the action sequences, storytelling, performances of the cast, drama, and the portrayal of Slade Wilson. Rotten Tomatoes reported a 95% approval rating based on 12 reviews, with an average rating of 8.15/10. The site's consensus reading: "The second season of Arrow boasts more fantastic action, as well as a widening cast of intriguing, richly written characters." Jeff Jensen of Entertainment Weekly gave the first half of Season 2 a rating of B+, saying, "Arrow possesses an intelligence that shines through its TV budget production values, which aren't too shabby. The writing is adult and witty. The action is exciting, and Amell holds the center with well-cultivated ease." The AV Club's Carrie Raisler gave the first half of Season 2 a rating of A. She said, "Arrow officially established itself as one of the most satisfying shows on television. The most satisfying thing of all is that it did so by respecting its characters, the character's comic book roots in its overarching plot lines, all while using the network-appropriate soap opera stories to do the heavy character lifting. Despite receiving positive responses for the Season 3 premiere, the second half of Season 3 was met with criticism as the flashback sequences were characterized as sporadic, superfluous, with Ra's al Ghul described as a shallow and underutilized villain, absent of clear antagonism. Although Matt Nable was generally praised for his portrayal of the character. Furthermore, while parallels to Batman had always existed in the show, the use of such a major character from Batman's rogues gallery and the essential application of the Daughter of the Demon, and several other Batman and Ra's al Ghul storylines applied to Oliver Queen came under particular fire from viewers, who accused the show of ripping off Batman. The season finale was described as dull, lacking scope, and underwhelming by IGN's Jesse Shedeen in light of the high standard the show had previously established for its finales. He cemented the mixed reception of Season 3 as being haphazardly paced, and struggling to develop a clear sense of direction. The third season holds a score of 89% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 9 reviews, with an average rating of 8.37/10. The site's consensus concluding, Arrow stays on target with new characters and a steady supply of exciting action. The fourth season received mixed reviews. The season earned praise given to the action scenes and Neil McDonough's performance as Damien Dark. However, it also received increasingly negative reviews for its mundane flashbacks, lack of narrative focus, and formulaic season finale. Ryan Fleming, of DeadbeatPanel.com noted that Arrow was honoring the comics, but it isn't beholden to them. Monsieur characters have been introduced, but they aren't exact replicas of their comic counterparts. Instead, the characters tend to be loosely connected. Leslie Goldberg of The Hollywood Reporter noted the presence of the character Thea, Speedy, Queen as one of the larger departures from the comics in the series, as well as the character's early willingness to kill. Comic book resources Kevin Melrose has also noted the series' tendency to have loose connections to the source material. Rotten Tomatoes gave the season an 85% approval rating based on 10 reviews, with an average rating of 7.55/10. The critical consensus reads, Season 4 of Arrow flourishes with a refreshing new tone, a thrilling new villain, and a gripping story arc. The fifth season received mostly positive reviews from critics, giving praise for the performances of Stephen Amell and Josh Segarra, action sequences, storytelling, and the season finale. IGN gave Season 5 a score of 8.7/10, stating that it managed to overcome them and recapture a lot of what made the show so memorable in its first 2 seasons. Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 88% based on 13 reviews, with an average rating of 7.38/10. The site's consensus reads, no stranger to dramatic twists and turns. Season 5 of Arrow continues to introduce new villains and surprise viewers despite some inconsistency. The sixth season received mixed reviews from critics. IGN gave Season 6 a score of 6.7/10, stating that it captured the show at its best and worst, with a strong finish redeeming months of disappointment. Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 64% based on 7 reviews, and the average score is 6.86/10. The site's consensus reads, Arrow's 6th season deals with the literal fallout from the explosion in Season 5's finale and promises a drastic change in direction for the series. The 7th season received more favorable reviews than the previous season, with 7.4/10 from IGN, being attributed to Beth Schwartz's work with giving new life and energy to the show. While full of missed potential, particular success was given to Stephen Amell and Emily Bett Ricard's performances, as well as new directions for the show via more willingness to take risks and venture off the beaten path this year. Even if it often bit off more than it could chew with its large ensemble cast. Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 88% based on 211 reviews, with an average score of 7.35/10. In the United States, Arrow's premiere episode drew 4.14 million viewers, making it the CW's most watched telecast of any show on any night in 3 years, and the CW's most watched series premiere since The Vampire Diaries in 2009. In its second episode, Arrow became the only new network drama in the 201,213 season to hold its ratings in both adults 1834 and adults 1849 from its premiere to its second week. In Australia, the premiere received 1.32 million viewers, making it the third most watched broadcast on the network that night. The UK broadcast was the highest-rated telecast of the week on Sky One, with 1.85 million viewers. In Canada, the first episode got 1.32 million viewers, making it the fourth most watched airing of the night and the 23rd of the week. Other media. Arrow has generated other media and spin-offs, including digital comic books and internet-based mini-episodes with characters from the series. To promote the series, DC Comics produced a 10-page preview comic for the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con. Written by Kreisberg, illustrated by Omar Francia, and featuring a cover by artist Mike Grell, the comic was regarded by the production crew as sharing the same canon as the series, with Kreisberg commenting, "Anyone who grabs a copy, hold on to it, and as the series progresses, you'll appreciate it more and more." It was later released free online. On October 10, 2012, DC Comics debuted a weekly digital comic tie-in written by Kreisberg and Guggenheim and drawn by various artists, including Mike Grell, which remained in continuity with the television series. The comics were to be released initially as digital chapters, and then later be collated to produce monthly print issues. The series lasted for 36 chapters, running until June 2013. These were collected, together with the initial preview comic, in 2 volumes, with the first released digitally in October 2013 and the second in both print and digital formats in May 2014. Titan magazines published the comics in a physical format in the UK. The first issue was published on October 17, 2013 and contained the first 4 chapters of the series, with the complete series lasting 6 issues, a follow-up to the original digital title. Arrow, Season 2.5, is written by Guggenheim and Kito Shimizu, one of the show's executive story editors and writers, with art by Joe Bennett and Jack Jadson. Arrow 2.5 is intended to tell one continuous story across 2 arcs that fits within the television narrative. Guggenheim stated, "We've tried to put in all the elements that people like about the show. We're going to see what's happened to Detective Lance after he collapsed in the season finale. A good chunk of the burning questions left over will get answered in the tie-in comic, particularly towards the latter half of the series. We're going to start introducing characters who you'll see in Season 3 before they show up on TV." On the comic's relationship to Season 3 of the show, Guggenheim said, "Season 3 is designed to stand on its own feet without requiring anyone to do any outside reading. But what the comic book will give is a deeper appreciation for some of the moments and a more complete narrative experience. If you want to go deeper into the story, that's what Season 2.5 is for." Shimizu added that the comic also allows the writers to accomplish things on the page that are nearly impossible to do with our production schedule and our budget, including bigger action sequences, as well as visits to locations such as Karnak that cannot be recreated on the show. Additionally, the series has 1 to 2 pages each issue dedicated to the Suicide Squad, leading up to their own issue later in the run. The character Caleb Green, who has ties to Robert Queen, was created specifically for the comic. Guggenheim said the goal is to end Season 2.5 basically 5 minutes before Season 3 begins. The comic launched digitally bi-weekly on September 1, 2014. with its first physical release featuring a collection of the digital releases releasing on October 8. The series featured 24 digital issues, which constituted 12 physical issues. A third series, Arrow, The Dark Archer, is written by Barrowman with his sister Carol, and with an art team led by Daniel Sampere. The comic, initially set between season 3 and 4 of the show before flashing back, explores a younger Malcolm Merlyn and his past, with Corto Maltese and Nanda Parbat featured. Barrowman, who initially pitched the series to DC Comics as another with the ability to tell Merlyn's backstory, said he had a backstory in my head for Malcolm from the beginning and a lot of it has made its way into our comic and onto the screen. I think it's always been my job to help the audience relate to Malcolm in some way despite his questionable morals and evil ways. Executive producers Guggenheim and Kreisberg helped their Barrowmans ensure the story would fit within the continuity of the series. The 12-chapter series was released digitally once every 2 weeks starting January 13, 2016, before the entire story was collected in a single print edition in September 2016. On November 6, 2013, a 6-episode series of shorts, titled Blood Rush, premiered alongside a broadcast of the show, as well as online. The series, which features product placement for products of its sponsor, Bose, was shot on location in Vancouver. Similarly to the main show, the miniseries features Emily Bett Rickards, Colton Haynes and Paul Blackthorne reprising their roles of Felicity Smoke, Roy Harper and Quentin Lance, respectively. The episodes set during the course of the second season of the television series show Roy coming to Queen Consolidated to have a meeting with Oliver. As he is out, Felicity tells Roy to go wait in the lobby. As Roy leaves, Officer Lance calls Felicity, telling her that the blood sample the Starling City Police found on the vigilante, which Felicity destroyed, has resurfaced. Felicity then calls Roy, using Oliver's voice encoder, asking him to break into the lab to retrieve the sample. Felicity guides Roy through the lab, where he is able to recover the sample. As Roy is leaving, doctors enter the room, seemingly trapping Hi Monsieur. He notifies Felicity, who then hacks into the building's PA system, and issues an evacuation notice, giving Roy a chance to escape. Roy gets out of the room before it enters into lockdown, and is able to avoid 2 guards with the help of Felicity and exit the lab. Roy returns to Queen Consolidated, and Felicity offers to mail the acquired sample for Roy as he goes in to meet with Oliver. A Green Arrow skin based on Oliver Queen's appearance in Arrow appears in the 2013 video game Injustice: Gods Among Us as downloadable content. The playable skin was given as a bonus reward to the first 5,000 voters of Injustice's promotional Battle Arena competition, but was later released as a free download. Stephen Amell lends his voice and likeness to the skin. LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham features an Arrow downloadable content pack that adds multiple playable characters, including Arrow, John Diggle, Felicity Smoke, Huntress, Slade Wilson, Roy Harper, Canary, and Malcolm Merlyn, as well as vehicles and an exclusive level set during Oliver's time in Lian Yu. Amell reprised his role in addition to voicing the traditional Green Arrow in the game, while Cynthia Adi Robinson reprised her role as Amanda Waller. The video game LEGO DC Supervillains features DLC inspired by Arrow in the DC Superheroes TV series DLC character pack. The DLC pack includes the Atom, Green Arrow, and Mr. Terrific as playable characters. On February 23, 2016, Titan Books released Arrow, Vengeance, a tie-in novelization written by Oscar Balderrama and Lauren Serto, which is set before and during the second season, detailing the origins of Slade Wilson, Sebastian Blood, and Isabel Rochiff, and how they eventually meet and collaborate with each other to battle Oliver's alter ego as seen in the television series. On November 29, 2016, Titan Books released The Flash, The Haunting of Barry Allen, a tie-in novelization written by Susan and Clay Griffith, set during the second season of The Flash and the fourth season of Arrow, which features characters from both shows. The story continued in Arrow, A Generation of Vipers, released on March 28, 2017. Again written by the Griffiths. In August 2017, it was confirmed that Arrow executive producer Mark Guggenheim would co-author a fourth novel, alongside James R. Tuck, entitled Arrow: Fatal Legacies, which was released in January 2018. The novel focuses on events between the fifth season finale and sixth season premiere. The first guidebook to be released was Arrow: Heroes and Villains by Nick Ayres and published by Titan Books, released in February 2015. Described as a companion to the series, the book features sections on the various characters of the series, along with descriptions, backgrounds, comic book origins, and where they stand as of the end of the second season of Arrow, a follow-up to Heroes and Villains by the same author and publisher. Titled Arrow: Oliver Queen's Dossier, was released in October 2016. During the series' fifth season, the book is presented as information collected by the Green Arrow and Felicity Smoke over the course of his 4 years of activity. Included in the book are handwritten notes and police reports regarding the Green Arrow and those he targets. Arrowverse. In July 2013, it was announced that Berlanti and Kreisberg, along with Nutter and Jeff Johns, would be creating a television series, The Flash, based on the character of the same name, with an origin story for Barry Allen. The character, played by actor Grant Gustin, was set to appear in 3 episodes of Season 2 of Arrow, with the final one acting as a backdoor pilot for the new series. However, it was announced in November 2013 that the backdoor pilot would not be happening, with the traditional pilot being made instead. In January 2015, the CW president Mark Pedalowitz announced the intention to do a Flash and Arrow crossover every season, and the CW announced that an animated web series, Vixen, featuring the DC heroine of the same name and set in the universe of Arrow and The Flash, would be debuting on CW Seed in late 2015. The character later made a live-action appearance on Arrow in the 4th season episode Taken. The next month, it was reported that a spin-off series, which is described as a superhero team-up show, was in discussion by the CW for a possible 201,516 mid-season release. Berlanti and Kreisberg would executive produce alongside Guggenheim and Sarah Schechter. The potential series would be headlined by several recurring characters from both Arrow and The Flash, with the potential for other Arrow, Flash characters to cross over to the new series as well. In May 2015, the CW officially picked up the series, titled DC's Legends of Tomorrow, during the 100th episode of Arrow Season 5. Some returning characters from previous seasons make an appearance in Invasion. Quote, a crossover episode of Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, where Thea, Diggle, Sarah, Ray and Oliver are abducted by the Dominators and were put in dream stasis to gather intel while they are shown what would their lives be like if Oliver never got on the boat. Further crossovers occurred with Crisis on Earth X in 2017 and Elseworlds in 2018. In 2019, the crossover event was Crisis on Infinite Earths, which wrapped up in early 2020. In August 2019, it was reported that another entitled spin-off was in development. In September, The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that the CW was developing a female-led spin-off series, with Catherine McNamara, Katie Cassidy, and Juliana Harkavy as the leads, reprising their roles from Arrow. The report also confirmed that an episode of Arrow's final season would serve as a backdoor pilot for the potential series. In October, Mark Guggenheim released an image indicating Green Arrow and the Canaries as the name for the new series. A couple weeks later, McNamara announced via Twitter that the backdoor pilot episode had begun filming. The episode aired on January 21, 2020, as part of said season. In August 2015, it was confirmed that Matt Ryan would appear on Arrow in the fourth season episode, Haunted, per a one-time-only deal that would involve his character being brought in to deal with the fallout of the resurrection of Sarah Lance, Katie Lotz, via Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus Pit. Due to Arrow and Constantine sharing the same studio, the producers of Arrow were also able to acquire Ryan's original outfits. John Badham, who was a director on Constantine, directed the crossover episode. On filming the episode, Guggenheim stated it felt like the production team was doing a Constantine Arrow crossover. And it's so exciting. We're just really glad we got the chance to extend Matt Ryan's run as Constantine by at least one more hour of television. I think you'll see he fits very neatly into our universe. It never feels forced. It feels right.